it's Christmas. Hear the festive music in the air. See the smiling faces everywhere. They stop and stare. Another Christmas.
Christmas, Nick.
Merry Christmas, Tyson. Holy shit.
I know. Isn't it wild? We've reached Christmas 2020. We got it,
Christmas.
Guys.
It's the end.
Congratulations to everybody for making it through.
We all made it, okay? We all made it. You know, some of us are a bit more wary than others.
Yep.
You know, a nice little fuck you to Donald Trump, and that's a shame. Your Christmas is going to suck.
Yeah, exactly. And you've earned it, buddy. But it is episode number 166 of Nick Tys and Videotape.
Yes.
We are very excited to be sharing our Christmas episode with y'all. Y'all?
Absolutely. Y'all. So hopefully you're in the car driving to the second family like I used to do. I used to spend most of my Christmas in the car. This is before I learnt that podcasts were a thing.
Oh, so they've done family number 1 and they're on their way to family number 2 for maybe like a late afternoon drink and then just second dinners.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Or just open up. Mostly my mum's, at mum's it was just scraps. Like, everyone's full from lunch. You're not re-eating. No one's eating dinner. At this point, you're like, no, I'm good.
You say that until someone brings out the turkey and then it's like, oh, yeah.
Exactly. You're like, you know what? Oh, I'm going to have a plate of that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, you got some of those cheesy potatoes too? Oh, yeah, I'm all about that.
All right, I'm in.
Just throw it all on there.
Little applesauce you got there? Okay, give me that. You know what? I'm sitting. I'm going to eat dinner.
Look, I'm here anyway. I've got a plate. Let's just do it.
Exactly.
But yes, it is episode number 166. It is our Christmas special. Tonight we will be talking about 1993's A Nightmare Before Christmas, directed by Henry Selick.
Yes.
It's going to be very exciting.
Not to be confused by Tim Burton. Like,
Tim Burton's name all over this thing.
I know, but I thought it was his. I literally thought he directed this. No. And then I did a little research. And I was like, oh wow, no.
Yeah, look, it's pretty common. And
then there's like, what was the director's name? Did you say
Henry Selick?
Henry Selick. So when people ask Tim Burton about this movie, we'll get into it.
You want to save it for a bit later?
Let's save it for a bit later.
Nick, I'll pass it back to you though, because you can tell the people at home where they can find our show.
Oh, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Merry Christmas to you. If you don't celebrate Christmas, how you going? How are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us on this eve. If you're listening to us on Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas. If you're not, that's okay. Chill out and do whatever. But yes, my name is Nicholas. This is my good friend Tyson. We have a podcast that you're listening to. It's a bit of fun. We talk about movies, all things. We do have a podcast, so because you're listening to us, you can like, subscribe, rate, review, all of those things wherever you're listening to us if you want to. Also, we're all over the social media, so we do have a Facebook account, Twitter, Instagram. We do have a Gmail, so you can write to us at nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com. We are on YouTube as well, so the podcast that you're listening to is on YouTube if you prefer to listen to it there. And Tyson and myself are big fans of the Letterboxd app. We cannot get enough. So, if you want to know what Tyson and myself rated The Nightmare Before Christmas, you'll have to look us up. To do that, you just download the app and then look up Tyson. Tyson is TYS_videotape and I am NIC_videotape. And then you can find out everything about us.
Very good.
Is related to movies.
Yes, indeed you can. Now, Nicholas, we have a Christmas tradition that I have partaken in.
Oh, shit.
Now, look, we are worlds away at the moment, unfortunately, because we're still doing this remotely. But I did treat myself to a little bit of nog, Nicholas.
Little nog.
Little glass of nog. Can everyone hear that?
That's lovely.
Swishing? No, not really. I can usually get a bit of ice.
You usually have... No?
Well, it's in there, but the glass might be just good quality, and the ice is not knocking against it. It's like it's centering the ice in the middle.
Just one of those glass balls.
But I'm very excited to have a bit of nog. I save it once a year, Nicholas, when we do our Christmas episode.
Lovely.
That's the only time I drink nog. And I've freshened this one up a touch with it's an Irish nog tonight because to tell the people at home, we are recording very late. It is almost into the AM. And so
It is.
It's going to
It
get
is.
blue, I reckon, this episode.
Look, it's going to get a little blue. That's okay. You know, we've been up for a while. I've had, look, to be honest, I finished work an hour ago, and it was a hell of a lot of Christmas cheer. So I have had, I think this is my 4th coffee today.
Oh, excellent.
And look, the heart's racing. It's going to be a fun episode.
Yes.
Let's just say that. Okay.
I did happen to down like the biggest can of Mother that I could find at about
shit.
7 o'clock because I was like, I need something to get me through.
You're going to rip it up?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was like, well,
Christ.
those things
Was
look
that-
like the big 500ml cans. I was like, this is going to be a bad idea, I think, but I'm all for it. I'm going to
You're
ride
gonna
with it.
piss green tomorrow.
Oh,
it's going to come out green.
Among other things.
And scary.
Now, Nicholas, we're going to start the show as we sometimes do. By talking about some trailers.
Let's do that.
Everybody's talking trailers.
All right, Nicholas. So we had one
Yes.
trailer from a couple of weeks ago that we did want to really talk about, so I think we should do that one first. Nicholas,
Let's do that.
That was called?
Yes. Nobody.
So they took maybe $20 and an old watch? Mr. Manson, did you even take a swing?
No.
Could have taken her, Dad.
Heard you had some excitement last night. I wish they'd have picked my place, you know?
Why didn't you take him out?
I was just trying to keep the damage to a minimum.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
You're okay, because you don't look okay.
There's a long dormant piece of me that so very badly wants out.
What are you still doing here, old man?
I'm gonna fuck you up. It's been a hell of a day.
You can see that.
For 12 years, I worked for some very dangerous people. Everybody get to the basement.
What is happening?
Don't call 911. I used to be what they call an auditor. The last guy anyone wants to see at their door. Because it meant you didn't have long to live. But I left it behind to start a family. I might have overcorrected.
When you left, you abandoned a certain debt that needs repayment. And your creditor is aware of your resurrection.
They came after my family.
They stole my kitty cat bracelet.
And you don't fucking do that!
Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet!
You look like shit, Dad.
You should see the other guys.
Who the fuck are you?
Me? I'm nobody.
In theaters only, February 26th.
Nobody.
Oh, nice.
So, Nick, we
Tyson?
have...
Yes.
What's his name? Bob
We-
Odenkirk.
Odenkirk, yes. I just looked that up. Bob Odenkirk.
From everyone knows from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad,
Yep.
of course.
Breaking Bad.
Who is in full John Wick mode.
Man, oh my God, this trailer, Tyson. Like, there was no way we could not talk about this. This was
a
intense.
double negative
I was
just there,
in.
Nicholas.
Yeah, no, totally.
So, hang on, we're not going to talk about it?
No, we totally have to
okay.
talk about it. There's no way that we're not talking about it. That was the sentence I was looking for. Yeah, so it's just like every other John Wick. He's just a suburban dad, just or I love that there's a shot in the trailer where he's running out with the bin and he's missed the bin. We've all been there.
Right, mate.
You know, we've all run out of the bin.
Back in the day.
Fucking, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he's just an average guy. And then does someone break into his house and he doesn't have a swing?
Yeah, so basically he just allows them to do what they do in the house, and it kind of eats him up inside because he knows that he could.
Because he's literally a weapon.
Yeah,
like
he could have made mincemeat of them, and because of the new life he has chosen, decided not to. And it's funny. There's a I like how the trailer kind of treats it almost like you know, really in reality that's the best thing to do, and that's the hardest thing to do is just to be patient and controlled. And control the situation. So exactly. So people get hurt the least. You know, things can be replaced, people can't. So but the movie treats it, or the characters in the movie treat it like almost like he should be ashamed of that for not having a go, for not getting stuck in and taking them down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you get like that scene where it's just eating away at him, and he's in a random alley late at night. It's raining, and he's just having a go at a wall. Like he's
having a real go at that wall.
Like, my God, his knuckles would be busted up as fuck. Like, and then he just, obviously, do they come back or something? And then he just lets loose.
No, I think it just becomes I'm not certain. What it appears to me is that he goes
he
into
is a bit of a John Wick.
He goes a little bit into kind of just basic kind of quiet Avenger mode, basically trying to just to clean up some garbage on the street. And I think I think because he comes out of the woodwork, it alerts the attention of the people he used to work with, who much like John Wick are now like, oh shit, he's still around. Oh, we need to go kill this guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, and you do get that. My God, this I'm in. I love this trailer. There was I will say, there was just a little bit too much cheese for me in the trailer. Like having the family go into the basement and him with the little secret latch that makes it a panic room. And then him saying, "Don't call 911." I felt that a little bit cheesy. And then you don't take someone's, what is it, dinosaur bracelet or dinosaur watch?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I get
the kitty cat bracelet. And that bit, I was like, oh, come on, no, I want it to be very serious. But to be honest, if I wanted serious, I'd watch John Wick. So I don't know, maybe that's where, because what's the difference here between this and John Wick?
Well, I think that they're obviously, I think they're playing off the kind of humor and irony in someone like Bob Odenkirk playing an action hero. So, and I think they're playing into that factor, the what it would do to the mentality of somebody that used to be in a world of violence who has kind of domesticated themselves. So it's that weird kind of like the thing with the dinosaur bracelet is almost like he can't control he can't control his emotions about those things, like because he's done so much work to adjust, but he can't balance the two, and that's that's just coming out in the way he expresses that. So what if this is in the John Wick universe, which is something that I have heard speculated.
Really?
Well, it's okay. So it's by the same writer of all the John Wicks. So
okay,
and there was something about those bars of gold that he had
that
looked kind of familiar
I saw that
to me.
as well. Yeah,
I felt like they looked kind of like something I'd seen in John Wick before. Like, when he goes under when he digs all that shit out from under,
all that shit up. Isn't there bricks?
Was there bricks, or is it just coins? As well?
Or is it just the coins that he pays?
He had the coins, but I swear there were some gold bars down there as well. But I don't know. I might be imagining that. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the same world.
That'd be great.
It would make a lot of sense because there's this. It's the same way. There's this kind of, like you were saying about the panic room built into the house.
Yeah, right.
There's a sense of normalcy to that world in this trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as much as it's still, it's still a bit out of the ordinary. It doesn't feel like, it feels like an elevated world, a kind of fantasy world where violence is a much more accepted part of reality than it is like heightened violence. And that's what the John Wick universe is. So it would be, it's and like you said, it's not taking it entirely serious, which I think John Wick does have a little bit of tongue in cheek at times as well, especially in in the universe that it's created. Not so much in the actual plot, but just the little kind
in
of
the universe itself. Yeah,
the little
like
kind of funny
him
moments.
going around with his dog, and then the valet has to take care of his dog.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just like those. Yeah,
And that weird kind of politeness that everyone has, despite the fact that they're all trying to murder each other. Like, it gives it a certain amount of, like, a charm to it that I think this one feels like it's going for the same vibe. So I wouldn't be surprised, and it'd be pretty cool, actually, to be honest, to kind of have movies that we can all kind of exist in that same universe. It doesn't have to be about John Wick anymore all the time. It can just be about people in that universe, which would be really cool, I think.
That'd be so good. So we were talking before. It's directed by the guy who did Hardcore Henry. Have you seen Hardcore Henry?
Nah, look, I watched some clips and I just realised that it wasn't for me. It's all a bit much. That kind of, it feels like a real kind of
first person movie. I'm like, that's weird.
It's just a bit much. It's entirely first person.
Pass.
I just even the clips I've seen of it, it feels like it gets jarring and becomes a really kind of exhausting. And look, that's okay. You know, it's just not for me. That's fine. And maybe one day I'll give it a watch. But I also haven't heard great things about it aside from the gimmick as well. Right. So it's kind of
a gimmick. Gimmick movies never really land, do they?
There hasn't been many that have worked that come to mind. A lot of those kind of one-shot things. I suppose something like Revenant, which is, you know, almost entirely one shot or something, or had, you know, giant shots in it. What was that one? What was the recent movie that was all entirely one shot? Wasn't there a movie recently that did that?
Birdman tried.
Yeah, no, Birdman did it. That's right. I mean, that's a good movie.
I love Birdman. Why do people bag Birdman? Like, honestly,
I'm not sure.
I was actually quite pissed that Keaton didn't win.
Yeah, he's very good in it.
That really pissed me off.
It can be a little pretentious if you want to, like, if you're in that kind of.
He can.
No, I think the movie. If you want to feel that way about it, it's easy. I think it's easy to find it pretentious. But if you're in that mood and you just want to be like, no, I'm happy to buy into it, then you can really enjoy it, I think.
But so is Inception and Tenet, to be honest.
Yeah,
if you want to be really pretentious about it. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I got nothing.
Excellent.
Shall we go to the next trailer?
All right. No, but that was Nobody. What's the next one we're going to talk about, Nick?
Shit.
I'll tell you.
It right here.
It's called Coming to America.
Oh, that's right. 2.
You must heed my words before I'm gone, my son. Now, you will be king. But the throne must pass to a male heir. Hakim, it appears you have a son. He must be found.
Prepare the royal jet. We are going back to America.
Oh, hell no, Your Majesty. Come on! I'm back! Say it again! Feel right in this mother... Feel good in this mother... My whole hood in this mother... Come on! I'm the king of this shop!
That's funny as hell!
Well... Say it again!
It is so good to see you.
Well, I be damn. Look who done come up in here.
Hey, it's Kunta Kinte and Ebola.
Famine and Blood Diamond.
Nelson Mandela and Winnie.
Those hungry babies with the flies on the face.
Hey, that's too much now. You stepped over the line. Now, we won't be talking that kind of shit about the hungry babies. You're going to have to get out of my chair.
Politically incorrect.
So what you doing back here, Hotel Rwanda? I'm back. Say it again. Feel right. Feel good. Bang.
So yeah, they've kind of confused themselves here because it's called Coming Number 2 America, as opposed to Coming
and
to
no 2.
No, there's no 2 at the end. It's just Coming Number 2 America.
Well, that's a bit stupid.
I don't know why they didn't call it Coming Back to America or something, just to help us out a little bit. Returning to America. I don't know.
Yep. Everyone's been waiting for this.
Have they? I know it's really beloved.
Everyone loves
and,
this movie.
Yeah, and look, to be
No?
honest, I do really like Coming to America a lot. I think it's really, really fun. It's probably like peak Eddie Murphy next to something. Well, no, but it probably is the peak for his film stuff. Would you reckon? Aside from Beverly Hills Cop,
down after that. Apart from Beverly Hills Cop, I still think the first Nutty Professor is really good.
That was kind of the later. Yeah, that was like his second wind, where he had all of a sudden he had Nutty Professor, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's back, maybe," and then he wasn't.
Eddie Murphy,
he wasn't really back.
But yeah, if you're talking 80s, 90s, I think Coming to America was kind of the end of it. The end of it?
Not necessarily the end of it. I think he did a lot after that, but it was. I think it's the peak in terms of quality.
Yeah,
probably. Aside from, like I said, maybe Beverly Hills Cop. And
but that's why, like, go on. What were you going to say?
No,
sorry?
it still holds up really well. It has the same problems with a lot of Eddie Murphy stuff, where if you go back in time to that, it can be a little. Some of the edgier stuff can kind of ring a little bit distasteful these days, but he's the first to admit that he grew up and his material is no longer
didn't age well.
He's the first to admit that it didn't age well, and that's fine. He acknowledges it, and that's great. But we don't take anything away from the movie itself, which is really quite charming and lovely, and the performances of him and Arsenio Hall are really great, and they play all these different characters, and it's it's John Landis directing, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Landis, that one.
You don't think everyone's excited about this? Come on, everyone's excited.
I just think it was it's not that they're not excited. It's just that I don't think it ever really called for a sequel. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like something where at the end you're just like, yeah, God, I'd love to watch another movie with all those guys in it again. Yeah, it's Landis. You just kind of, it is what it is. It's great. Moving on. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So, I find it kind of weird that this was the one out of all of his film ventures that he chose to reboot first, because this is his first big reboot, isn't it?
Going down because he is doing Beverly Hills Cop. That's 4. That's in production now. But the fact, like, whether we'll see that, who knows?
Yep.
But yeah. So directed by Craig Brewster. So Black Snake Moan.
Brewer or Brewster?
Brewer. Yeah, not Punky.
Punky, yeah, directed by Punky Brewster. How exciting.
Punky Brewster. Oh my God.
The little white girl with pigtails.
Exactly. Directed Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan. So I actually really like this director.
And Dolomite Is My Name.
Dolomite Is My Name.
Which was one of my favorite movies from the last couple of years.
Man, that was amazing.
Yeah. He's really good.
So he is, yeah. What was I going to say? No, it's gone. Oh, I thought that Eddie Murphy's, when we said they come back, like, you know how you're like, oh, Eddie Murphy, because after Nutty Professor, you're like, oh, that's gone. And Shrek doesn't really count because it's just his voice.
I think it earned him a lot of goodwill, though. Like, I think
it did. Oh, hell yeah.
But you're right. Kids don't know. Kids wouldn't have known who Eddie Murphy was. But I think the parents that were taking their kids to see Shrek were like, oh, cool, Eddie Murphy. It's good to see him, doing something
only because
good.
When I think of Eddie Murphy, I think of adult comedy.
Oh yeah,
that's what you know what I mean. And he hasn't touched on that in quite a while. And when in 2006, when Dreamgirls came out, and he played, I haven't seen Dreamgirls, but his character is, isn't it Take on Little Richard or something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of an amalgamation of like your Little Richards, your James Browns.
It's the
big, big elaborate kind of over the top soul performer, who gets a bit carried away.
I thought that was going to be his comeback. I thought, oh my God, Eddie Murphy's back.
He's wonderful.
Serious stuff.
He really is.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I haven't seen it, and I've heard great things, but that didn't do anything, and he kind of just went off and didn't do anything, and then, Tower Heist, that was a movie. I was like, oh,
yeah, he's had a few attempted comebacks, hasn't he, actually?
Yeah. So I was like, okay.
And then
Dolomite.
Dolomite was
amazing.
the legit one. Dolomite was finally the one, I think, that really cemented his comeback status.
Yeah.
I think, remember there was that one he tried drama maybe like 3 years ago called Mr. Words or something? Mr. Church. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember people talking about that. It was like, oh, Eddie's back. It's his, it's a dramatic turn for Eddie. It's really solid. And then, like, literally nobody gave two shits about that movie.
It was like, yeah, no one's going to see Mr. Church.
So I think, he's kind of found a bit of a niche now in working with Craig Brewer and doing stuff for streaming services as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of just skipping the cinema altogether. So hopefully this will be the way he goes.
Audiences are now. Yeah,
it's true.
It's good. What was the other? There was another like big comeback that I was like so excited for. Oh, JCVD. When I saw that trailer, I thought, oh my God, he's like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be, and JCVD is going to be back. He's going to be like Hollywood star and he's going to be huge. No.
Didn't happen.
No, I was dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I will back that movie though. That movie is probably my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie for sure.
It's really, really good.
Even Amazon tried to give him a TV show. Did you remember that? Like a couple of years ago.
What? No.
It's called Jean-Claude Van Johnson, where it's kind of he plays an actor who is also he's a reluctant spy as well. So the actor side of him is basically him. He's a washed up action star. But he has to be a spy as well because he can get into places because he's this washed up action star.
The action star.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
And that was apparently not very good.
Wow,
who would have thought?
Oh.
Poor Van Damme.
Yeah.
He hasn't quite. He's had his shots, and
he did. Look, the 90s were badass for him. So were the 80s.
Oh man, he was riding high, riding real high.
He was huge.
It must be a real kick in the balls for those guys. Like to be just like the kings of the 90s and 80s action cinema. It was the it and the bit. And now it's like you can't get a gig. You can barely get a gig.
You can barely get a gig, and it's like I think for those guys, I think knowing what you are, I think Seagal and Van Damme knew early. I think someone like Bruce Willis, I think that's a kick in the nuts because Bruce Willis has gone from being nominated for Academy Awards for like Sixth Sense and things like that to having a bit part in Incredibles. I think the slow decline is worse rather than the all of a sudden you're not hot and everyone's like, big 80s muscles isn't a thing anymore, you know.
The thing about the Bruce Willis thing is strange to me because I don't think he doesn't need to do these terrible movies that he's doing.
Yeah,
like he's making a choice. He could do good movies,
but he just can't be fucked.
I just think he's done, man, and I think he knows that he can. If he does 4 of these terrible movies that he works basically 2 days on a year, he'll make the same amount of money he did making one movie that shoots for 6 months in the Amazon and he has to get real sweaty and dirty. And in these ones, he barely gets up out of chairs. Like he just sits in a chair and someone holds a cue card with his lines.
That's terrible.
I think he's just lost the passion for the work, man. And, you know, it's a very weird one.
Yeah. Like Bruce Willis, man, he was really decent.
He was. He could get tell me you wouldn't if you were like casting a legit serious film and tell me you wouldn't take Bruce Willis for it. Like,
please,
you would absolutely.
Of course you would.
He's
you'd be insane not to.
Exactly. You want to work with him. So I think it's a choice. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's more than happy to coast one weekend every 3 months. Does that 4 times a year and makes 20 mil, and he's fine. He's fine.
Done. Huge.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is my wife's one get out of jail free card. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Even now?
Yeah. Even now. She'll take him. 100%. Him and even as he looks now, Billy Idol.
Oh, Jesus.
Billy Idol does not look good. He does not look good.
He looks like a drowned skeleton.
Exactly. I said, do you know what he looks like? She's like, bring him on. That sounds awesome. I'm like, oh my God.
I don't even think he can sing anymore. I think he's one of those guys that's completely lost it in all ways.
Oh yeah, he's done. Like
but what happened to Axl Rose.
No.
What were we talking about? Coming to America. So none of those things have happened to Eddie Murphy or Arsenio Hall, it appears. They both look in fine form.
But where has Arsenio Hall been? Where has he been?
Well, I mean, he's not.
Literally haven't seen him in the last one.
Do you know what I reckon? He's I don't know this for a fact, but he had his talk show for a while. I think he just kind of floats about as like he'll do an odd special here, a stand-up special here, or he'll present for some kind of
probably has a podcast
event.
We don't know about.
Probably has a podcast we don't know about. Yeah, he's just famous guy Arsenio Hall. I'm sure. But no, it's really good. I'm glad they're doing all the dress ups again because that's a little bit of a shtick that I feel like I've missed. I realized I had missed it when they popped up, and I was like, yeah, I do enjoy seeing Eddie Murphy play a bunch of different people. I just kind of I think that's always fun. Except when it's like Norbit and stuff. The movie's got to be good as well, obviously. But
no one likes Norbit. Academy Award nominated Norbit.
But even, think back to one of the best things about those Nutty Professor movies was the way he did the multiple character stuff.
Exactly.
And it became so funny. And, God, people were absolutely losing their mind over those dinner party scenes with the big family, just whatever they were doing, farting and laughing.
It was a lot of farts. Look, it was a lot of fart jokes. A lot of fart jokks. A lot of grandma. Grandma was really overly sexual.
Yeah, great.
Like
everyone loves an overly sexual grandma.
Word. She said the word moist more than once, and you're like, oh fucking hell. You're like, oh Jesus. And then it was just farting from the dad. It was intense.
Great. I mean, hey,
but gold.
It's
I love
simple.
it.
It's simple but effective.
Time. Exactly.
But yeah, I'm really keen. And those, I love the barbershop guys. I love that he's bringing back the sexual chocolate as well.
Yeah,
sexual chocolate, which is
sexual chocolate.
One of my all-time favorite things in any of his movies.
Soul Glow. It was the glow with the hair. I was like, oh my God, I am in. I'm so in.
And I hope they get the. I'd love to see. Is it Jesse L? No, it's not Jesse L. Martin. Remember the guy that played the boyfriend?
Wasn't that what's his name from the eldest son from the Cosby Kids? Wasn't that him?
Oh, was it?
No? Am I thinking wrong? I don't know. I haven't seen it in so fucking long.
Oh, Eric LaSalle. That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had the full curly hair and the little mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in AR, and he was the remember the family in Logan that him and Patrick Stewart spent that time with?
Oh, yes.
He's the guy.
That's
he's
right.
the dad.
He's the dad.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he had the greatest hairdo in the original Coming to America.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I need to watch the original Coming to America.
Yeah, I watched it maybe 5 years ago now, and I remember it still really held up, and I had a good time, and had a really
it's
good
very
laugh.
80s comedy though. Like there's blowjob jokes and shit like that, but it's
Hey man,
it was the time.
They can, who doesn't like a good sexy blowjob joke?
the amount of times that that movie will come up, and immediately in my head is when Eddie Murphy's outside going, yes, fuck you too, like on the balcony. Fuck, it makes me crack up.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Very good,
Tyson,
Nick. I think we should move on. Feature prez.
Let's move on. Sounds good.
Nice.
And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to an extraordinary world filled with magic and wonder. Open your mind and let yourself go to a place where every day is Halloween and every night Jack Skellington
The Pumpkin King!
dreams of something different.
What is this? It's someplace new.
Jack, look out!
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What is this?
Haven't you heard of peace on earth and goodwill toward men?
Touchstone Pictures presents the enchanting story of two very special dreamers and the holiday spirit that brought them together. From the imagination of Tim Burton comes The Nightmare Before Christmas.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Well, Merry Christmas, Nick.
Well, it is a jolly Merry Christmas to you too, Tyson.
We've done a bit strange this year because we've chosen a film, Nicholas, for our Christmas episode. Which
we have.
Could have been even in our Spookisode special, I think.
I know. What do we normally do?
I think we normally do a little bit more traditional Christmas movie, but
that's true.
It is a very much a Christmas movie, but I do like that it kind of belong in either holiday, to be honest.
Yeah, I do like that as well.
Which is a bit fun.
Yeah.
Well, we are, of course, talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. So, Nick, you were saying before, this is the movie that Tim Burton claims credit for. Well, he doesn't claim credit for, but he doesn't exactly correct people when they say Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. He doesn't exactly go out of his way to tell people that, no, it's actually this other guy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he does admit that it is his baby because it was his creations, his story, his characters.
It was his story and characters for sure. And that's fine. But it's the same way you could say about, a Stephen King adaptation where it said Stephen King's The Tommyknockers, right?
Yeah.
He wrote the story for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But from what I've heard, though, that was pretty much it. He wasn't really around for anything else.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, he was there five days out of the entire shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't very much.
Didn't really.
at all.
Contributed some of the obviously the ideas and the story and the characters that are surrounding. So like some of the character designs and things. But I think really, it's funny how this gets completely attributed to Tim Burton.
But it is when you watch it though. This is a Tim Burton movie. Like it feels like a Tim Burton. This is completely Tim Burton.
Of course, But, having watched, once you watch some of Henry Selick's other stuff, though, you could also say that it feels a lot like a Henry Selick film.
Right.
So I think it's he's done a really great job of kind of emulating Tim Burton's style.
Sure.
Basically, he's watched Beetlejuice 100 times and Pee-wee's,
Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and basically just gone, and Edward Scissorhands, of course, very much so, and just kind of going, I reckon we can do that. And,
Well, when I look at Henry's back catalogue, like Coraline and even, is it James and Giant Peach?
Yeah.
I actually thought when they first came out, I thought they were Tim Burton films.
Yes.
I was like, Tim's doing a thingo. But no, it is Henry.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my... I'm going to say this is my second ever watch of this.
Oh, that's interesting.
What was this for you, Tys?
My first ever watch.
First?
Yeah.
Oh, how'd you go, bud? What'd you think?
I didn't mind it. So for my actual first watch of this, I turned it off. This was years ago.
Right.
Because
was there a reason?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I watched the first 10 minutes and I was like, I'm going to hate this, and turned it off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And so I was a little apprehensive going into it again.
Yeah.
And look, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more. I think this is a movie where a nostalgia would play a great deal in someone's love for it, because like I said, I don't have that nostalgia at all. So looking at it as completely a fresh viewing, I found it totally watchable, completely fine. But at the same time, I'm kind of also a bit bemused at its longevity to me.
Okay.
Because it's such a... The best word I found to describe was I found it completely erratic. Like it never found itself time to just even tell me what the movie is trying to be about.
Yeah, sure.
And because it was just thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. And look, maybe that's because it was the first time watching it, and I was, I haven't caught up on the nuances of it all yet. Yeah. But to me, it was so energized and so full of momentum and moving from next moment to next moment that it never stopped to allow itself to tell me what it's trying to say about Christmas or Halloween or anything like that, which I found kind of interesting, because everyone has such love for this movie and talks about it, how it's so heartwarming, and I was just kind of like, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Heartwarming, really?
Yeah, well, most of the people I've read reviews of people talking about how much they love the warmth, spirit of Christmas in it, and the spirit of Halloween, and the kind of, how endearing these characters are and all this kind of stuff. And I just didn't really feel any of that. I thought it was completely harmless fun.
I would say it's more after watching it, because it was basically a fresh watch for me anyway. For me, A Nightmare Before Christmas, I was the same as you. I missed the boat, and because watching Beetlejuice and Batman and things like that, I was obviously a Tim Burton fan and just never got around to it. I was like, I'll watch it eventually. And because when it came out, I was already into more mature things, I just didn't go back and pick it up. So what happened was that everyone started talking about it, and it was literally in that situation where everyone's talking about, you should see it, you should see it, you should see it. And I just didn't want to see it more and more and more.
Sure.
in watching it, it's a bit more of a Halloween than a Christmas movie to me. But I do understand where you're coming from. Like there's no sort of explanation of there's no real plot through line. It's not like, oh no, we're going to achieve this, like, sort of thing. We're out to achieve this. It is kind of just a different scene, song, different scene, song, different scene, song, almost to the point where I was like, oh, so this is a kid's movie completely. Like, this is a kid's movie back before Toy Story had come out. So therefore it was like, oh yeah, we're just going to grab some scenes and chuck them together and it'll be a bit of fun. And in this scene he's singing and in this scene he's doing the sleigh thing and, you know, it's a bit more fun. I understand probably where they're saying there was a bit of heart, because I did like the songs, like especially at the start when Jack goes off and he's had enough of Halloween and he just wants something different. I really liked that song. Those scenes were great, I thought. But yeah, I actually tend to agree with you that I think maybe nostalgia would play a big part to it, but I did really love it, and only because I actually found it quite scary at parts. I was like, this is a little. I like this. This is a little scary for kids, you know.
For sure. It's. I completely agree. I found it really, as I was settling in to watch it. It takes a little bit of time, I think, when you turn it on first. And I think this is what maybe rubbed me the wrong way the first time, and I was just not in the mood for it at all.
Yeah.
Is that it is so, like, in your face with the stop motion and the Halloween kind of atmosphere. It gets that real kind of House of Horrors kind of vibe to it, where the camera is, the camera, but the way it pans around to, like, underneath stairwells, and you see a creature kind of pop up, and then you go under the bed and there's a big shiny eyes and teeth and all that kind of stuff. It's really this is what I mean by when I said erratic. You can't I'm quite tired today. We'll be, be honest. It's just one of those days. And settling down to watch it, I was a bit kind of like, oh, okay, I'm a bit tired, this thing I found very hard to feel relaxed when watching this movie.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because it was like, it just, everything's going on. It's just thought, but after thought, after thought. And it just didn't leave any time to just allow itself to do. And look, this movie goes for 78 minutes or something.
Yeah. Hour and 15.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's time. There is time to relax a little bit. And allow us to kind of get to know our characters in a way a little bit more than just the perfunctory kind of, this is what the character wants and let's go watch them do that. You know what I mean? Like just letting things settle for a second. Instead, it was just blah, blah, person jumps out, crazy vampires, ooh, there's a thing in the ground, Tim Burton, goobly monster comes up in the side of the screen, and you're just kind of like, oh, fuck me, can we just relax for a sec?
So you think maybe, because I'm not, the only thing I'm not a fan of in this movie is probably that start song, This Is Halloween. I'm not a fan of that song at all. Even before the movie started, I was like, I don't like that song. And it's going to start.
I
already started hating it.
Energy of it, like I said, because it set up a certain kind of energy, and I was like, all right, cool, let's see what happens. And obviously, unfortunately, it just stayed at that level. That should have been like a big entrance point, and then we could just settle, but it never did. Yeah, I actually have issues with the music across a lot of this movie.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I know that's probably not the popular opinion either, but
right, because there were some good songs. I didn't mind. There were 2 songs that I liked.
I think some of it's
really
totally fine. I just think there is. I don't like really any of the melodies that are in there.
Okay. Sure.
And it just reminded me how hard it is to make really strong vocal melodies. And someone like Danny Elfman is a fantastic composer. And as score, I think a lot of what he was writing there would be wonderful as score. Mm-hmm. But as having to have vocal melody incorporated into that, these are not hummable tunes or really particularly singable tunes. They've really, and I think it was pretty evident by how often they had characters just sing, and in the orchestration you'd hear what the melody was meant to be, and you can hear that it's just like, well, I don't want to hear them sing that. That would be horrible to sing. So they just talk it through anyway, and then pick up little notes here and there. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not saying it's terrible by any stretch, and I'm not saying I hate it. I think it would have for what's essentially a musical now. It's a different medium. I don't think he's jumped across from scoring into writing a musical or an operetta, however you want to read it, as effectively as I thought maybe he would have.
I kind of agree with that, actually. There aren't, I did like the songs, but there isn't, there's nothing that I could tell you. I couldn't hum one right now, apart from This Is Halloween, but that's because it's This Is Halloween is the same as This Is the Song That Never Ends. It's just... Oh, yeah, right. I was it's no, fuck off.
I get you. Yeah. I like some of the stuff that Sally sings. I think it's nice and tender.
Yeah.
There's one ballad that Jack sings as well. I think it's the one where after he's crashed the Santa's sleigh
the sleigh,
which I kind of liked as well. I thought that was quite pretty. And like I said, there's some really lovely musical moments. I just don't think any of it is particularly good for a singer to handle, except for what's the big fucking sack of bugs called?
I have no idea. Oogly
Boogly or something. His tune is pretty fun because it goes like. Oogie Boogie. It goes old school Disney jazz.
It's
like the villain song out of something like Aristocats or something like that, where it's like, we're going to get this old school kind of brassy jazz thing going on. and they just tend to always work. And I thought that one was pretty great.
You know what I did like that you mentioned just before was how the start is so sporadic and what was I going to say? And because the movie is only an hour and 15, there are characters there that I really want to get to know, but they don't give us time to. What was the scary guy in the wheelchair? Dr. Franken...
No, it sounds like Frankenstein, but it's like Finkelstein.
Finkelstein or something like that. He was petrifying. He scared the absolute fuck
He would have been a great character to explore further. Absolutely.
Yeah. And looking at this movie with very adult eyes, he is doing things to Sally like...
he's
it's really messed up shit.
It's a bit sus, for sure.
Exactly. But in the start song, you see all these really great characters all the way through it with the werewolf and the little kids running around and they're all scary and shit like that. I'm like, I want to get to know all of these people, but you don't. You see them a little bit and that's it.
And look,
they come back, but yeah.
They create a really fun kind of...
Village,
yeah.
Village.
It's like a little what's the word I'm looking for? Vignette of life in Halloween Town or whatever it's called. And that's cool. They pop up and they have their little one-liners here. I liked.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize was that. Obviously, there's some that are quite clearly based on certain evil characters, horror characters. Like I said, there's a werewolf, there's vampires. What I didn't realize was that, some of them are a bit more specific. There's a Jack the Ripper as well, which I had no idea. He's the one that has the hats and he keeps taking them off and there's somebody under there, which is a really great little side gag. I loved that. There's more based on actual literary horror characters than I thought. I thought that most of them were just kind of, let's make up something gross and just go from there. But, I think, they create a nice overall picture of what this town is. And they all get their little moments, I think. But I think, I think all in all, I just get disappointed by how short this movie is and how little it ends up trying to say. I think that's the bottom line that frustrates me.
Yeah, I agree. I just wish there was just a little bit more, that's all. Add 15 more minutes, you've got it there. But the thing is, 15 minutes on this movie is another year. Because it's stop motion.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah, it took 3 years.
I don't feel that way about some of these other stop motion films that I think maybe... I don't know. I don't think Jack is a completely realized character either. And that's a big problem. I think if you make your protagonist a bit more well-rounded, maybe that kind of helps solve the problems with the rest of it as well. Because really, the thing about Jack that I find really weird is that, he's fed up with Halloween life. He kind of wants to change. He finds this magical Santa Christmas world, decides, oh, hang on, that's what I want to do. I want to be Santa instead for a year. Then kind of just doesn't anymore.
He gets everyone to make the presents. Everything goes horribly wrong, and then he realizes that he, I don't know, isn't meant to do it. and that there's a reason that we have Santa Claus, and then he gets inspired by Christmas to do other things with Halloween, and then the movie ends. And then for some reason, when did he fall in love with Sally? I feel like I fell asleep. I was like, when did you two get together? What the fuck just happened?
Well,
Like,
I mean, Sally's obviously had a thing for him the whole movie,
For a while, yeah.
I think the thing, it's one of those things where he has, like, you know, he can't
An
see
epiphany, or
what's
just realizes?
directly in front of him the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel a little bit out of the blue. It's actually a really lovely moment, to be honest. I think the animation is so good in that bit. That little hill with the thing. I mean, it's the iconic image. It's on the cover and everything. Everyone knows it. But fuck, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does it doesn't come out of nowhere for her. I think it comes out of nowhere for Jack a little bit. But yeah, to me, like, that song, I think is meant to, you know, illustrate him understanding that his place is being a Halloween figure. But to me, it doesn't translate it enough at all. It's not. It doesn't feel like a decision he's made. It feels like a result of the circumstances. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's I don't like it when. So basically, what I'm saying is that if he hadn't got shot out of the sky, he wouldn't have had that revelation himself. You know what I mean? It's
pretty thin.
Yeah,
it's pretty thin.
And that kind of, I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fun, I guess. But to me, it's kind of like I would like a little bit more than that. And I think we've come to expect a little bit more than that, even from the stop motion, like the Leica guys, like I'm saying, Coraline, Kubo, Paranorman.
Yeah, man.
Those movies spend the time.
Wallace and Gromit.
The Wallace and Gromit stuff.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say.
Aardman, is that them?
Yeah. So yeah, Wallace and Gromit, Wrong Trousers. That's 30 minutes, and I could. There's more character building in that 30 minutes than there is in this movie.
Yeah,
I feel like I know more about Wallace and Gromit than I do about Jack, and I spent more time with Jack than I did with Wallace. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's really saying something about this movie.
Yeah,
that's not to say that I didn't have fun.
No, and that's the thing. I think,
you know what I mean?
That's what I want to. Let's move away from the narrative.
We're not
problems,
bagging it out, exactly,
because there are many things that are extremely strong about this movie, and most
Massively.
of obviously the design, the animation style.
Oh, it's gorgeous to look at. Like
it really is very impressive. There were moments in it that I could have swore I was watching like computer generated imagery of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so good. It's so like that doesn't even really have the jitteriness that some other stop motion has. Like it's almost like
it's fluid.
There's more frames in this than there is in it. Like if you think about one where they move it a millimeter, take a photo, move it another millimeter. It's like they instead of moving a millimeter, they moved it half a millimeter, took a photo.
Yeah,
it's like they doubled every process because the movement is so smooth and just like it feels legit. It feels like hand drawn animation.
That's so true.
I love it. I love all the creature designs are fucking awesome. Very Tim Burton-esque, but I mean, he's the kind of guy that you want to be inspired for this stuff. Like his artwork, probably went a long way to inspiring this world.
Hugely. Yeah, and you can tell that. Absolutely. Jack looks like he's drawn by him. Everyone having elongated legs, or it's either elongated or extremely stubby. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He has a very particular style, and he knows how to play to that style. And yeah, this is just perfect for that. And the stop motion adds to it. It's almost like stop motion was made for Tim Burton's illustrations. Yeah, just the feel of it looks amazing.
What's interesting as well is that there's so many similarities in the animation style between this and Corpse Bride.
Yeah, right.
And that one is directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah. See, that I wasn't a big fan of that. I've seen that, and I was like, yeah, not for me.
Oh, and I don't remember much about it. I saw it years ago, and I can't remember. I remember
and everyone
the
was
gist.
like, no, watch Nightmare Before Christmas. No. Yeah, and that's better. And I was like, yeah, okay. And never got around to it. Yeah, I own this movie.
Oh,
and
do you?
It was given to me.
Right.
Like everyone's, they were like, oh, you have to own this. I was like, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I really did like it, but I really did like it. But it was more to the fact because I was like, yeah, I've heard everyone rave about it, but yeah, I'll get around to it. Maybe I don't know. I might just, to be honest, watch Last Action Hero again.
Sure, if that's the one you choose, why not?
Exactly. What is your? Can I ask just a little bit off topic? What is your? Do you have a Christmas movie, Tyson? Do you have a ritual of watching a movie? Is it a ritual?
Look, not a specific one. I try to watch Krampus as much as I can. And it turns out one
Gremlins.
of Gremlins. Yeah, Gremlins used to be one. I think I just try and watch at least a couple of festive movies in December if I can.
Yeah, right.
Like we were an insight into my life. I was at a friend's 40th the other night. And a few of us stayed over, and after the party had cleared out,
died out,
and because it was an afternoon thing, so around 9:30, a few of us sitting around having a few drinks, and we just chucked on Home Alone, that's kind of the vibe. I like to watch something like that at least once over the course of the year of December.
Yeah.
So so no specific ones. What about you, Nick?
Mine is Gremlins. It really is.
Yeah.
I used to watch Love Actually, but then we did it on the podcast, which you can look up, ladies and gentlemen, and now I'm like, I can't watch that anymore. Tyson's pointed out that all the females in that fucking movie just get really dumped on, and I'm like, I love that movie. I'll get around to it. It'll come back eventually.
Give it another go. Honest, you never know.
I'll watch Gremlins. Yeah.
Gremlins is Gremlins in this actually I find pretty similar in that way that it's like it's obviously happening at Christmas, but it almost has more in common with Halloween than it does with Christmas. But see, even Gremlins has this heart to it as well.
It does, yeah.
That this. Am I wrong to say that this is just lacking a little bit of heart? Because it feels the heart that's in it feels like it's not earned
it just feels rushed
entirely.
That's all. Yeah. It feels a little rushed. That's all. So maybe you're right. It didn't actually earn the ballads and the really nice heartfelt songs feel like they're a little bit forced. I don't know.
Well, they're just also there is a little bit in it, but there's not enough kind of. I'll say the word like musical relevance.
Okay.
Like I like callbacks in this kind of stuff in musicals. Like I like recurring themes and musical motifs having but having a thematic purpose. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a bit of that in this. Like there's some there are a few, recurring motifs here and there. There's some nice uses of different kind of melodic phrasing and stuff. But on the whole, I find it a little bit kind of void of that stuff as well, which helps to contribute to that stuff. You want to talk about heart and context. Some of that stuff could be done with a musical phrase and would become far more powerful because it'll almost happen subconsciously. And there's not a huge amount of that in there. And I was a bit kind of like it's basically song to song to song. There's a little bit, like I said, a little bit here and there, a little bit at the end, which repeats a bit in the middle, and there's some of Sally's theme gets played a few other times, but not enough to really feel like a conceptual whole.
Right.
Anyway, what about the voice cast, Nicholas?
Well, I didn't know that it was Catherine O'Hara till literally the end. I was like, oh my god,
it's pretty wild.
And she was great,
isn't it? I mean, 2 weeks in a row now.
So
we've had Catherine O'Hara. She's the best.
Good.
Yeah, and she is excellent in this. I think she's got a really. There's definitely a way you could play Sally, like a real kind of. I imagine like someone way too over the top doing that kind of role.
Yeah,
and she actually kind of underplays it a bit, which I think is really lovely. And I think it's her singing voice as well, and she does it really.
It is her singing voice. Yeah.
It's just really gentle and lovely.
Yeah, she does do a bit of her singing in her other movie, like in her Christopher Guest films. There's a
Mighty Wind. Is she in Mighty Wind?
She is. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, but the biggest one for me was that, and also that Jack Skellington is voiced by Prince Humperdinck of The Princess Bride. I was like, what the fuck? like out of nowhere. And,
Chris Sarandon, yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, we've seen Chris Sarandon in. We talked about one of his movies this year, Nicholas. He's in Child's Play.
I know, Child's Play, yeah. And then Danny Elfman does Jack's singing voice, which there is no. That is very similar.
They did really well with that casting.
I couldn't tell that apart at all.
They've blended that really nicely. I find it funny that that Danny Elfman. I wonder what happened first. If they cast, I would assume that they would have cast the singing voice first because there's so much more singing than there is dialogue.
Yeah.
But it seems strange to me that Danny Elfman is the one they chose because he's obviously not a known vocalist. He's known as a composer, that they didn't decide to go with a singer or like in a Disney movie where it's like, who's an actor that can sing and they can play the role. Whether or not it's, the only thing I could think of is that he was very particular about when he wanted it to be spoken because a lot of it is spoken. Like I was saying before about the melodies being a bit funky for that reason. Maybe he decided that it would make so much more sense if he just did it because he knows how to speak with that kind of cadence that matches the melody a little bit.
Yeah. That's so true.
Instead of having to teach someone all that.
Yeah, because he wrote those songs though, didn't he? That was all him.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was all him. Yeah, writing the music for it.
Yeah.
I think he did all the.
Because I remember reading something where he said that it was the most fun, but he also knocked it out in a day. Everything, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
All the vocal performances.
So funny. Yeah. And
Jesus.
I was like, it's so interesting that when I hear that, I feel like, oh, maybe did you rush it? Was it too quick? Or like I never think that like. The one that always makes me think of that, so me second guessing someone doing it that quick, but things like, so Tale as Old, it's not even called Tale as Old as Time. Angela Lansbury, Beauty and the Beast. When she did Beauty and the Beast, the song, that was one take. She did that one take, bang, done, and it's perfect.
Oh man, that's Angela Lansbury though.
That's Angela Lansbury, exactly. So me hearing something like when Danny Elfman comes in and he does a day and he knocks it out of the park, I was like, oh, was that a bit rushed? Was maybe we could have done?
Maybe have another take of that.
Could we have a second day? Maybe, yeah. Can we just do a few more takes?
Just have another swig at it.
Where Angela Lansbury, and she's like, oh no, she's a goddess. Of course she can.
Broadway legend Angela Lansbury.
Exactly.
She knows when she's nailed it. She knows.
Yeah. Do you guys, that's enough. You've got enough out of me.
Exactly. If she says it's good, you trust her. But yeah, maybe it's the same thing. Maybe he knew exactly what he wanted it to sound like, and But this thing, he probably as much as he recorded it in one take, he was probably doing it for weeks, months beforehand in the writing process. He would have been going over it in his head. He would have heard it certain ways. But yeah, it's very odd though. It's such a. I didn't realize he could sing. And
he's quite good.
Yeah, he's got a great singing voice. It's lovely. And I was looking stuff up on YouTube because I really wanted to see if anyone had done a live version of this. Because it was kind of one of those things that I think some kind of creative uni theatre group would have done a performance of it somewhere. And look, I couldn't find much, to be honest. There's a couple of people that have done like one song in the makeup and stuff like that, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
But what they did find is that there was a reunion concert a couple of years ago.
Oh,
and Danny Elfman, did the live singing at that as well. And he was great. Catherine O'Hara was there as well. It was really cool.
Oh.
So it was at like, what's the big bowl in the States?
New York?
Like,
New York?
We have my music bowl, and they have.
Oh, I don't know what their bowl is. Madison Square Garden,
something like that. Anyway, and it was for a special kind of like you could get dressed up.
Lovely.
Yeah. Hollywood Bowl. God.
Hollywood Bowl.
Jesus. What an idiot.
Of course. Of all the things.
Yeah.
Of all the names. Look, it's fucking late, okay? It's late. We're kicking on. It is late. Speaking of late, do you have anything else, Tyson?
I actually don't have much at all. And that's...
Neither do I.
We've only been talking about it for half an hour.
Short episode.
But it's, it's kind of... That's the movie in a nutshell, though, isn't it? It's like... There's not really... heaps of stuff we can get into.
Grab onto.
Who was your favourite side character, Nick?
Oh, jeez.
Of all the little kind of characters that popped up here and there?
I really did. There was a little, I don't even know what the character's name is, but there was a little boy who just kept coming up and adding his 2 cents, and I was like, I want more of that boy. Maybe because he reminded me of Clark, I was like, that boy's fucked up.
Hey, what, like one of the 3 that kidnapped Santa or somebody else?
No, it was just a random kid in the town. It wasn't the 3 that kidnapped Santa. Right. It was just another kid that kept popping his head up. It was that, and of course, the little Jack's dog. His name's Zero.
Oh, Zero's the best, yeah.
Yeah, Zero.
Love Zero.
I liked him as well. What about yours, Tys? Who's your favourite?
Yes, it's not a bad choice. I will go probably the 3 little
kids.
3 little kids with the Halloween masks.
I found them to be quite fucking petrifying, especially the one with the fact that he was always smiling. I was like, oh dear God.
I think they were very effective. They were really effective. And good for a laugh.
And how it was unsettling. That's what it was. It was like when Sally jumps out of the window and she falls apart and just puts herself back together. That scene was just quite unsettling because she's all her leaves have gone everywhere. But you get to, I guess, watching it over and over and over, you get to have a sense of that's just what this world is. Like, and that's, I did find the fact that she was kept as a prisoner for the professor, like in his chair, and he would lock her up and no, you can't go out. I want you by myself.
Well, it was a bit of a. I think it's obviously a bit of a play on Frankenstein because they with the similar kind of Jewish name. But like if she was Frankenstein's, it's kind of like if Frankenstein's monster didn't really dig. Sorry. The Bride of Frankenstein didn't really dig Frankenstein's monster. Like, imagine if the Bride of Frankenstein got reanimated and kind of went,
she was like,
look, it's not really working for me. And Frankenstein's monster is just kind of like, what? What the fuck do I do now then?
But I love how she would just keep drugging him. She drugged him twice. He's like, don't drug me again. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, no worries. Have some soup. Oh, dear.
Oh, it was good.
What about favourite musical number, Nicholas?
Oh, Jesus. Probably, shit. I don't know. That's a bit too hard because I do really like What's This? What's this? What's this? It really kind of jumps on, and the fact that it is so random, it lulls, and then all of a sudden, what's this? And he jumps up to the next one. I was like, that's, for sure. I really like that. I really liked it. It was good.
It's, I will say, and I'll agree with you because I think lyrically, I haven't mentioned that yet, but lyrically, I think it's really strong. I think songs like that are really hard to write. And they can sometimes be really unnecessary. Like,
and jarring. Like they're not pulling off what they're trying to do, but this pulled it off.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually, because my favorite musical number is the one where he tries to explain Christmas to all the people back in Halloween Town, which I think is really, really funny because the lyric through that is just so strong. The way it's like, this is a box, this is a box, and what's in the box? Is it a is it a corpse? Is it a head? Is it it's got to be something. That kind of vibe. I thought that was really funny and clever.
Yeah.
And I actually found that as much as I was hanging shit on the music before, I think the songs themselves, it's really well written narratively, like the way the songs contribute to the narrative.
Yeah, sure.
Because there can be a real problem.
There's no random songs.
No.
There's no random songs in this.
There's no song where nobody is in the same place at the end of a song that they were at the start of a song. And that's the thing that annoys me the most about bad musical theatre is when we get this whole scene where somebody has something terrible happen to them and then they sing a 3-minute song basically telling us about how they feel that we've just watched take place during that scene. And so many contemporary musicals do it now. They just write a pop song that reflects on the scene that just happened. And I hate it. Absolutely hate it, and I want it gone. And so good to watch something like this because this was obviously back in a day where the actual purpose of writing musical theatre songs was very different. It was about it was about saying, well, we have to have a character be somewhere else at the end of the song, and it always happened through this, and it did it in really clever ways as well. I thought, it
was very good.
So I was happy about that, and especially in that the Explaining Christmas song because it was just so funny. So funny. I loved his blackboard, the mathematical equation to work out Christmas. I just thought that was really funny as well.
There were some really funny parts in it.
There's some really great, mostly sight gags, to be honest, because the dialogue's all just so full on at times. It's just like everything is
Overly-
so heightened.
Because I felt it overly just a touch too kid friendly.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, like last year when we watched Muppets Christmas Carol. Yes, that is aimed at the demographic is children, but there are jokes in there and there are things in there that it made it feel like it wasn't aimed at children. Like there, I feel like I'm not.
Muppets are very sophisticated.
You know what I mean?
Like that's like people think that like it's for kids, but humor in the Muppets is incredibly sophisticated. It's meant for kids can enjoy the slapstick comedy and like Gonzo falling out of a fucking window and getting knocked on the head with a fish and stuff. But the humor is based in a far higher understanding of stuff that comes with age and maturity.
Yeah. Maybe what I mean is that it's how it was shot. Like, Muppets doesn't have that, even though it's for kids. Whereas The Nightmare Before Christmas, even though that is aimed at children, it does have a very dark streak to it, which I was a massive fan of. But how it was shot, because it was nice, quick cuts, and all of a sudden, this is happening, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm watching. Felt like I was watching a kids movie where they need to, the attention span is not that.
I get what you mean. That kind of
things flowing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it did feel like that a little bit. Of course, like it wasn't like that all the way through.
No.
But when those moments did hit, I kind of was like, oh,
like they had to keep jingling
Sally.
a set of keys in front of
exactly.
their faces. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I get what you're saying, and I agree. Yeah, I think that was the case through a lot of it. And that's kind of what we're talking about. I just wish it would just chill the fuck out sometimes, and try and be about something.
But when it did slow down, like even I really love how Jack leaves the party, and he goes kind of and embellishes on what he's feeling at the time and just wants for something else.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really nice and slow moving and things like that. So you do get those moments. But yeah, when the erratic moments happen, like we were talking about before, I'm kind of like, whoa there, Sally. Just calm down a bit.
So Nick, what do you think the message of this movie is?
I don't think there is one.
Well, there has to be.
Okay.
We have to assume that pretty much every movie ever made has at least some kind of reason for being,
Okay.
What is it? What's it about? Like what, not what the plot is. What's it about?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I think it's because I was thinking about this throughout this movie, and I was thinking how when movies so Jack as a character is the king of Halloween, and he is almost he has found his calling, and that's what he does. And what this movie is showing us, I felt, is that maybe even if you are born to do something and you want to do something else, that is okay. If you want to try other things, if you think that maybe what you're doing is boring to you now, and maybe try different things or different things in life, maybe you can do that. What I think now that movies do is they're a little bit more. They're not as subtle. They will tell you to do that instead.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not as subtle as this. I felt that this was subtle. So kids watching it are like, only because I watched it from a point of view of Clark, if I wanted to show him like, hey buddy, I know you don't like doing that anymore, but just like Jack, if you don't want to do that, you can do something else just like he did.
Yeah.
Rather than be that subtle, movies are now like, nah, fuck it. Do whatever you want.
That's where I kind of thought the movie was going as well, but then it turns out
didn't at all.
That's not how it ended. It's almost like the movie says, hey, yeah, it's okay to do different things. Don't be pigeonholed by, what you've done over and over again, unless, of course, it doesn't work, in which case, stick to what you know.
Stick to what you know.
I was just kind of like,
I was like, well, this is...
is that really...
This is wrong.
The only kind of thing I can think that it kind of was trying to say at the end was that if you is to like learn from your experiences basically, and say that if you go and try something and it doesn't work, what you've learnt on the journey maybe you can incorporate into where you're going next.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I'm kind of like that's a bit of a fucking that's milquetoast fucking theory, isn't it? Like it's kind of just like, all right, so just do what you would do normally if you had a brain.
Give things a try.
It's so different. Just give everything a royal crack. But it's so different from things like if you think like even Disney movies like of that era, like your Aladdins, your Little Mermaids and stuff, they're saying far more interesting things about how we live our lives and humanity on the whole. Like they've really got some things to say because. And even like you think of like the Toy Story movies, they're full of like theoretical kind of ideas. And this just seems a little bit void of anything to me. And I think that's where
true.
I just ended up being a bit kind of like, look at all the prettiness.
Do you think maybe that was due to Tim's writing? Has Tim written? Oh no, he has. What are we talking about?
He does write a bunch of stuff. I think
Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. That's him. So. Oh shit!
Yeah, I just think it's just a bit of a. I think, like I was saying, I think it's because for two things. By choosing to do it as a stop motion in that era, they limited how long they wanted it to be. Like in this era, with you can help it out with digital effects and stuff like that. It doesn't have. You don't have to do everything as painstakingly slowly. But also, because it was a poem that he wrote that he then expanded out. I just think it's just. I think maybe when trying to keep it kid friendly, he's missed an opportunity to make it also sophisticated in a way. Which I think the Pixar guys figured out later that it can be both. And they figured it out really only 2 years later with Toy Story in 95, I think. So
95.
So they figured it out pretty quickly that it doesn't have to just be simple messaging because it's a kids movie. We can actually talk about some heavier stuff.
Yeah. I was wrong. He has only really written this and Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like that was, that's kind of it. Like there's all these little shorts like Vincent and Frankenweenie and things like that, but he didn't write the movie for Frankenweenie. That was just his short.
And someone else wrote the adaptation.
And someone else wrote the movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very good.
So yeah, maybe it's attuned to his writing, but who knows?
Maybe. Well, Nick, I think that's going to wrap up our chat about... What's this movie called? Nightmare Before Christmas.
A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Very good. Nick, we're going to ask the question that we've started asking now. Is this the last time you are going to watch Nightmare Before Christmas?
Oh, I do like that. Definitely not. I will definitely watch this again. I want to watch it with Clark because I know that it's a movie that he might like, and it's so funny having a child because Clark is 3 years old, and knowing when I can kind of start etching in the darker 80s movies that I grew up with. And I'm talking like Dark Crystal, Neverending Story, The Storyteller. Gremlins.
Yep.
These things are what I like to, what I like, because I've talked about it before, how a movie like Gremlins, Tyson, is rated PG. What would you rate Gremlins now, Tyson? Is it an MA or is it an M?
I get what you're saying. It's probably an M. But I would say I'd say 5 or 6 years old is good for Gremlins, I think.
Yeah.
Because you also you want to be able to. I think that's a really good gauge to see where your kid's going to be at. If at 5 you show them Gremlins and they'd say, "Dad, man,
they're having nightmares.
That's it. I'm done. I can't. You're gonna have to get me a nightlight now. You're gonna have to leave the radio on for me. I'm gonna just tell you what. I'm just gonna sleep with you guys for the next 7 years. Then okay, cool. I overstepped it. Okay.
Clearly, we're not watching The Dark Crystal then. Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's a pretty good gauge, don't you think? Gremlins?
Yeah.
Because honestly, 100%. Like then what's the worst? The worst that can happen is that they're going to freak out about the Gremlins a little bit.
Yeah, and think that things are coming to attack them in the nighttime. Like Gremlins is pretty fucked.
Yeah, but then you could just buy him. You could just buy him a Gizmo toy and put it in bed with him and say, "Well, see, Gizmo protects you though, so you've got a Gizmo now."
But that's where I think like a Nightmare Before Christmas is kind of that nice segue into the kind of little monsters and things, and there's songs in there. We can't really sing them because they're not really melodic, but we can we can watch it, and it's a little bit darker than your Toy Stories or Aladdin or Lion King. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's a good, probably.
So yeah, I'll definitely watch it again, even if it is for myself, because I didn't mind it. What about you, Tys? You gonna watch this again?
Look, I would like to try it again. I'd like to see if maybe with a little bit more familiarity, whether it becomes a bit more of, because like I said, it's so short. Maybe it just becomes like a nice tradition around these holidays to just when you've got an hour and a half spare, like, and you don't want to watch a full crazy Christmas movie,
full thing.
You can just chuck on it's like a bridging kind of movie, pretty much, where it's
Exactly.
like, well, we're gonna watch 2 movies tonight. We're gonna watch Nightmare Before Christmas, and then we're gonna watch, Gremlins.
Exactly.
Oh,
Definitely
maybe
not
chuck
Jingle
on
All the Way.
Krampus. Not Jingle All the Way.
Because fuck that movie.
Because fuck that movie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's probably got another run in it for sure.
Yeah. Nice. I like it.
Nick, I think we should move on to our next segment,
which is what did you watch this week? Next. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I felt like we nailed that.
Yeah,
I
we
felt
did
like
nail it. It was real good. It was real good.
Oh, okay.
Nick, what did you watch this week, bud?
Oh, good lord. Okay, Tyson. Tyson.
Yes.
Pause because I need to pee.
Oh, they're really giving us some sizzle here.
Another Christmas. Time to celebrate with those you love. Time to count your blessings from.
Tyson.
Yes, Nick.
I'm out of breath. Tyson, I watched. Are you ready for this?
Oh, you're selling it. You're selling it really hard.
Seriously. I watched Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Excellent. I'm glad you watched this. I've been waiting to talk about it for a while.
Oh, did you watch it? Have you watched it?
Yeah, we talked about. I made a mention of this maybe a
did
couple of
you?
months ago.
Okay.
Because I did not like it one bit and turned it off about halfway through. So I'd love to hear what you thought of it, Nicholas.
Fuck me. Well, I've been a big fan of Harley Quinn, the character, since she was, the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, which is where she was invented by Bruce Timm.
Yep.
So having watched that and then gone through all the motions of her and in the games and all that stuff, I wasn't a fan of Margot Robbie's version of Harley.
Yep. Okay.
I've never been a fan of that. It's a not really the character of Harley for me. But as far as this movie goes, oh my god, it was not good. It was just a. I wasn't a big fan.
Sure.
I felt the story was wispy thin. I didn't like what it was. I didn't know what it was trying to do. Like I felt like it didn't really have a plot, and they were kind of making it up as they went along. Like I literally felt like that was it. And which is a shame. I didn't mind Ewan's Black Mask.
Okay.
I thought that was a nice take, making him kind of leaning towards the making his homosexual side type of that character. I thought that was quite good.
Okay.
But as far as anything else, I kind of really wasn't a fan.
Sure.
All the other characters were kind of shadows of themselves. The Huntress, like having read a lot of comics with her in it, I felt that they made her out to be really dumb, which was ridiculous. Who was? Is it Black Canary? I think
it was.
She wasn't. Black Canary. She wasn't too bad. She was kind of the one that I liked the most.
Was that Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
No, that was Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Janie Sommelier played Black Canary. Rosie Perez played Montoya. Now Montoya's throughout the DC universe. She is a cop in Gotham.
Yep.
But yeah, not
like
really
Rosie
for
Perez.
me, man. Yeah, I like Rosie Perez.
She's great.
But yeah, Ewan was kind of the best thing about it for me. But that's the bar is pretty low there.
Sure.
He's not really bringing massive things to the table.
Yeah.
I will say one thing: the fight scenes were choreographed really well. I thought they were pretty badass.
Yep.
But you can't just have a movie with fight scenes because that's just fucking boring, isn't it?
Yeah, look.
What do you think, Tys?
Well, I don't feel the same way about Margot Robbie. I quite enjoy her take on
her Harley
Quinn. Yeah. I just think I know she's playing it she's playing it in a lot differently from on the same thing. I'm a huge fan of the Batman animated series, so I had a very like I said, pretty strong feelings towards how I would like the Harley Quinn character to be realized, and I don't think Robbie's doing that, but I feel like she's got the spirit of it though. There's there's similarities. There's enough similarities in spirit that I'm like, yeah, look, you're doing a different thing, and I don't, I don't hate it. And I think, especially, I think she was a bit better. Strangely enough, as much as I hated that movie, I think she was I liked it a bit more in Suicide Squad.
I agree.
Than what I did in this one. And look, it's meant to be a transitional movie for her where she's kind of rediscovering herself. But the thing that really drove me up the wall was just the aesthetic quality of the film. I wasn't really struggling as much with the characters and the plot. I was actually trying to kind of get engaged in that, but I just couldn't do it amongst this like weird kind of late 90s, early 2000s, like Charlie's Angels, but worse.
Yeah, that's
aesthetic
true.
quality.
Yeah,
and it just blew my mind. I was like, I thought that we weren't doing this anymore. Like, I thought at least through Suicide Squad, we learned that there are things that we shouldn't do anymore. And this movie just kept doing them and turned them up to 13. And I was just like, no, I just don't think I want movies to look like this anymore. And 45 minutes in, I just went, done. Can't do it.
Oofed.
It's just awful to look at. It's just so gaudy and like.
It is. It looks like Swordfish. It really does look like Swordfish, where the greens and blacks have been turned up really high for some reason.
It's like overly contrasted. It's like Swordfish by way of Ed Hardy.
Yes. Oh yeah. Everything's bejiggled.
Yeah,
like
everything's bejiggled.
Yeah, bejiggled.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's so true.
And
even the explosions. Like I was sick of things. You know how? Like I don't mind them. Do you know? I know you know it. This is DVD and that
the
shot
360
of
explosions.
The 360 explosions, right? I'm done with those. We're done with those. We can put them to bed.
I think it's time to put that to bed. Yep.
Yeah, we've seen that since fucking 2001. So how about we put that to bed? We don't use that effect anymore. And the fact that they're still doing it, I'm like, you need to get rid of this. This is just not good to look at. It's not that impressive. You kind of got away with it a little bit with the X-Men movies when Quicksilver was moving through all that shit really fast. Even those scenes kind of bugged me a little because it was literally reminding me of Swordfish. But yeah, I was like, nah, look, I'm done. So because that did that with the aesthetic of Ed Hardy, that's so spot on. With that, and for what it was doing, and the fact that the characters weren't really landing, the story was wispy thin, and it wasn't a fun time.
No, fair enough.
It was a struggle. It was literally a struggle to get through.
Yeah.
And I will mention, because if there are comic book fans, they know as well, Cassandra Cain is probably one of my favorite Batgirls, and oh my god, they didn't even mention that she was Batgirl at all. So I just left it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go.
No, and that's it. Sometimes when they just screw with shit like that, it's kind of like, you just got to take it, and you got to go, okay, does this choice make this a better or worse movie, regardless of how I feel about it as a comic book thing? Because if you remember, Nick, only 3 weeks ago, we stood up for a very similar thing in Iron Man 3.
Was?
That's
true.
That people who feel the same way about the Mandarin might be saying, and it worked incredibly effectively for that movie. So it's like you've got to think, all right, cool. I hate it because it's one of my favorite characters not being used appropriately, but does it work for the movie?
But you can't, I completely agree. Taking a character and twisting it so that maybe it's another take, like Black Mask, that was really, really good. What they did to the Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, that was just fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's a bar.
She's not dumb.
To be honest, I don't remember much of her. I don't think I got into.
No, if you turned it off, man, you probably would have missed most of what she did. Yeah, because most of it was at the end.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. Anyway,
there you go.
What did you watch, Tyson? What did yours, man?
What should we talk about? I won't mention that because that was not worth mentioning. I will talk. So I finished Mandalorian.
Okay. I've heard many.
Well, so this is the thing, Nick. You haven't watched any of it, right?
I haven't watched any.
I don't know. The social media flooding of Mandalorian related stuff. It was worse than a fucking new Marvel movie coming out. I could not open anything. YouTube.
Really, without it getting
Facebook,
spoiled?
without something coming up with some motherfucker spoiling the last episode. So what was really upsetting was that there, and I mean, I don't know how much you know about what
I
happens.
know nothing.
Right.
I haven't heard anything.
So you haven't seen random screenshots of things, or you haven't seen like a thing that might lead you to. Okay, so
no. So I know there's a Baby Yoda, and
Baby Yoda's
I
the
know
pet.
there's, and that's it. That's all.
Right.
That's all I really know.
Look, okay, so I won't spoil it for you. All I'm going to say is that there's something that happens in the last episode that would have been really, really great, and I would have really loved the surprise. Except we live in a world where there's no chance for those things to happen anymore, and that kind of upsets me a little bit because, hey man, it's not. We shouldn't be forced to have to watch something immediately. Like we've talked about this. Sometimes it just you can't do it, man. Like sometimes
just give it time. Yeah,
and
that's why media blackout is a thing, man. Like once,
but so I can't media blackout for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just kind of sucks because, to be honest, I actually would have liked it a whole lot more if I didn't know because when you already know, it means that you end up watching it without the shock and awe factor, and it was actually when you look at it that way, it's kind of not all it's cracked up to be. I think a lot of people are losing their mind over what happens in the last episode. It's really it's not great.
I've people have told me I haven't watched them, but people have told me that there's Star Wars fan reactions to it. Star Wars fans watching it in real time, and there's one where this Star Wars fan just literally just stops and just cries for 45 minutes, and I was like, okay, I clearly need to watch The Mandalorian.
Well, no, but the thing is, if you remove yourself from that emotion, which is obviously pretty hard to do, because if you didn't know it was going to happen, it would be a pretty impactful moment for sure.
Yeah,
knowing it's going to happen because I fucking can't not know. All I want to do is, man, all I want to do is when I'm just killing a bit of time is just scroll through my Facebook aimlessly and not have every single part of pop culture ruined for me.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Get rid of Facebook.
Oh, you just got it. Having said that, the rest of the show and
how did you like
first 3/4 of the final episode of season 2, it is fantastic. It's really, really, really like my initial trepidation has gone. They really found their feet. It's a really, really great show.
Nice.
Incorporating.
Can I ask a question? Sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all.
Can I ask a question? Because you are one of probably the only ones in my circle that like The Last Jedi. Because a lot of people, what I've heard them say is that what Mandalorian does is what we were expecting those 3 movies to do. So where does your take sit on that? Because you actually do like The Mandalorian and Force Awakens, which I'm a fan of Force Awakens. But yeah, just not the next 2.
Yeah, I think they're actually trying to do similar things.
Okay.
Last Jedi, I will always love. Because of my reaction to it in the cinema was honestly, I was just so shocked and like really impressed that a blockbuster franchise was willing to ask some of those questions that it asked. That we'll never see anything like that again because it was so divisive. But I was just so thrilled that they went there. Like, what Mandalorian does is far less dividing.
Okay.
But it asks similar questions, but it's not getting to the same level Last Jedi does. But you know, it gives us alternate perspectives about some of these things in Star Wars that we've taken for granted. But but it never really wants to engage with those things. You know what I mean? It shows us it for sure, and gives us an opportunity to make up our own minds about that kind of stuff. But it doesn't it doesn't force you to confront some of those things the way that The Last Jedi did.
Sure.
Not that doesn't make either better or worse. What I think The Mandalorian's doing really well is that it's re-engaging Star Wars fans again.
Star Wars fans,
because
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that the last that fucking what's the final one called? Rise of Skywalker. Because that was just such a mishit. I think Mandalorian's done a really good job to re-engage. And especially, like, I don't watch any of those cartoons, and I've bitched and moaned about having to watch those cartoons before. I don't want to have to watch 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. But this show is also paying off for the people that did
For those
fans that
Yeah,
put in the time, because there are characters that pop up from those. And getting to see them in live action, it's great. I'm sure it'd be really fun for those people that have put in the hours getting to know these characters in book form or cartoon form, and then seeing them played by real actors in a real life scenario would be really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, fuck, it gets real good.
Nice.
So that was good, and that inspired a Star Wars rewatch of the movies. I felt like I just wanted to be in Star Wars universe.
Nice. What did you watch, Tyson?
Well, we started watching A New Hope, but I fell asleep really quickly.
Yeah.
But Rachel ended up watching it all. But like, as per usual, I feel bad about rating movies that I fall asleep during, so that didn't count. But then we watched Empire. And God, I mean, it's so fucking good.
It's flawless.
Yeah, I think I've taken it for granted a little bit. Because it's been a while since I've watched it, for sure.
Okay. Can I ask what version you watched, Tyson?
So I was watching on Disney Plus, so it had all the fucking nonsense in it. Which is really frustrating. I want to get rid of it. Because Rachel wanted to know. She was kind of like, tell me when there's new stuff. And so the amount of times I ended up going, that's new. That's different. That's different. It got kind of annoying to be honest, having to keep doing it, and her having to listen to me keep saying it. It got to a point where it's just like, just shut up. But to be honest, most of it isn't really. It's nowhere near as offensive,
as bad as the others.
As New Hope, I find.
Empire's got probably the most subtle ones,
except for the Cloud City stuff. The Cloud City stuff can go fuck itself. That's awful. But the rest of it is just
exactly what
seems like it's just subtle restoration.
Exactly.
Stuff.
It's not too much. Like seeing the big abominable snowman at the start, you're like, what the fuck was that? But yeah, it's not that effective as much as Cloud City. You're like, whoa, this is a changed town.
Well, exactly. And look, I mean, it doesn't need to be that. I actually always kind of liked how weird Cloud City felt. Like, kind of
it feels distant.
Yeah.
It feels very far away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, the shots of having like more people and things flying in the background and like so that it looks more like a bustling town, to me actually removes its effectiveness, because it felt kind of like a weird ghost town to me.
Yeah, it felt hidden.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to hide out there because Vader's not going to find them there.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, but the movie itself is incredible. I'd forgotten just how strong some of the characterization in that movie is. Like, speaking of, people not being at the same place they were at the end as the beginning, like, every scene, the character growth is incredible.
Huge.
And Yoda is, I forget how great an addition Yoda is. He really, could you like?
Yeah, because that was the introduction.
Yeah,
that was the introduction.
Trying to imagine this as someone that's never seen Star Wars before.
Fuck!
It's such a strange, like, putting yourself in that headspace and thinking like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a comic relief. We've got we've got this little green man who's going to be like this sidekick comic relief kind of thing, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then he turns out to be the esteemed Jedi Master. Like, what a fucking, like, it just, there's some great stuff.
Massive head spin.
Yeah.
Massive head spin. Especially because it was 1980. Like, the start of the 80s. It's basically still the 70s.
Yeah.
Like,
and holy shit, man, this, like, the restoration, like, the restoration of the film is beautiful. It looks so good on Disney Plus. Just get rid of all that CGI nonsense, and we'd have a winner.
See, that's the thing. Even though, so I still have I've told you this before, I have the original versions and all that stuff. Yeah. And I'd happily give up my amazing restoration just to watch that.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, I was actually even thinking about plugging in the old VCR and getting my original VHS out. So
do it.
Just for there's a feeling about those movies as well that I think could be benefited by watching them on VHS.
Yeah.
Just that kind 100%. Of... That
especially because if you
feel.
On VHS, you're getting that fucking strip up the top of the screen and down the bottom.
You're probably getting a bit of
yeah. Oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I think that's maybe all I'll talk about. I think. Have you got anything else you want to talk about?
Me, not really. No.
I did watch some other stuff, but I can't be bothered talking about any of it. So
yeah, so did I. But I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
Very good.
Lovely.
Nick, should we maybe do one of our other segments that we don't often do, but we like to do for our Christmas episode? You're going to have to count us down.
Oh, sure.
Maybe we'll do a quiet version because it's getting quite late.
We can do a quiet version. It is, which is Christmas Streams. Oh, that was awful.
Called Crossing the Streams. We like to sing it as if we're fronting a hair metal band, but
that's true.
Hey man, it's pushing. It's well into the AMs now, so we can't be singing that shit right now.
It is. It is the 24th of.
It is, and so So we're just going to recommend a movie that you can stream that is Christmassy.
Yes.
And Nick, I did struggle to find something that that was on one of our free streaming services.
Streaming services.
But what I thought I would recommend is a comedy
sure.
from the third in a series of films by that are quite funny that I enjoy. I've seen this one once. Who knows if it still holds up, but that is a very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
Jesus Christ.
Which you can actually rent quite cheap on Apple TV. It's only $2.99 to rent in HD. So if you're looking for something really fun and silly to watch on Christmas as opposed to your traditional family-friendly Christmas fare, why not spend a little bit of time with Harold and Kumar and, of course, Neil Patrick Harris just being absolutely outrageous. Our favourite stoners having a good time, having a laugh, and celebrating Christmas.
Nice.
I can't remember if this... I feel like this one is less offensive than the one where they go to Guantanamo Bay, but... only mildly so. Less offensive.
It's a nice sentence.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Oh, my God.
What are you recommending, Nicholas?
That Harold and Kumar actually just reminded me of another Christmas ritual that we watch. We actually watch the Community Christmas specials. The TV show Community. We watch those. Community. Yeah. I love those. But no, that's not what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that you, even though it's not a not quite Christmas movie, but for those people who haven't seen this, please give it a watch. It would go down so nicely right now at Christmas. Everyone's got the time off. You're relaxed. You're going to try and watch something. Watch 1997's LA Confidential. If you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know exactly why I'm recommending it. It is kind of a nice... not a throwback. I guess it's just a lovely movie that is set in that noir feeling of detectives trying to solve a crime. It is set during Christmas. There is a Christmas scene. There is quite a few scenes set at Christmas, and one of the major murders happens at Christmas time. But yeah, it's one of my absolute favorite movies. I remember when I saw this in 97. Actually, was it 97? No, it would have been.
It was.
I would have seen it in 97, but I think it was when I got to uni and I was rewatching it quite a lot. I went and bought get this, Tyson. So I went to Sanity and asked them to order me the soundtrack. It's
dedication.
And and I wanted it so bad. So the soundtrack is so good that it has that nice Christmassy feel of ye olde jazz, and you've got some crooners in there.
Yes, very good. I understand.
Song. Yeah. And I think there's about 3 songs that are one of the Dean Martins is very Christmassy. One of my faves. So yeah, LA Confidential, which is on, I believe, Amazon Prime.
Very good, Nicholas. Well, Nick, that's going to wrap us. Why don't you tell the people where they can find our show?
That's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nicholas. This is Tyson. We do a podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, hopefully you're having a safe Christmas. And if you don't celebrate it, I hope you're just enjoying the time off because Australia is closed, or most of the world's closed. And if you do like what you've heard, you can rate, review our podcast wherever you're listening to it. Other than that, we are on all. Jesus Christ, it's late. We are on all the social medias, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do have a Gmail account, which is nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com. And Tyson and myself have rated A Nightmare Before Christmas. So if you wish to find out what we did rate it, and, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and the Harley Quinn movie, you'll have to look us up on Letterboxd. So to follow Tyson, you'll have to follow him at TYS_videotape, and I am NIC_videotape.
That's it. Nicholas, I think we should wish everybody a happy, merry, safe Christmas.
We do. So Tyson and myself take a little bit of a break.
We're going to take a little bit of time off. We'll be back in the new year. But we would like to say thank you to everybody, of course, for another wonderful year. God, what a year it's been.
Yes.
Fuck me. Congratulations to everybody on making it through 2020. And if you've spent some time with us over the course of this crazy year, we say thank you kindly for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And a very Merry Christmas.
And a very Merry Christmas. And very Merry Christmas to you too, Nick.
You too, Tyson.
All right, buddy. I'll see you next time, man.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Have a very Merry Christmas.